Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to show you the 5 makeup products I use to get this super dewy, glossy skin look. Let's get started. The first product I'm going to use is the Eldridge Seamless Skin Elevated Glow. Now I have 2 different shades here. I have Crystal Nebula, which is this more warm toned one, and I also have Pink Moon, which is the lighter shade. Now we want to look naturally luminous and just glowing from within. So I'm going to go in with this under foundation. So I'm going to add the slightly darker shade around the perimeters of the face, the nose, a little bit at the outside here. I'm adding the lighter one just above the brows and then on my cheekbones here. And what I really like about this lighter shade is that it is a little pink, which isn't normally what I go for with a highlighter, but it's a subtle pink, like it's not an overwhelming silvery pink that like looks super unnatural on the skin. So I'm just blending this in with the fingers, keeping it to the perimeters of the face. And I believe this product also does include skincare ingredients. It certainly feels really nice on the skin. Now obviously if you are more oily, don't put as much on as I just did. I have more dry combination to combination skin and I like a lot of glow, and you can see it's super pretty. So I'm not going to put any highlight over the foundation today. I'm just going with this underneath, and then I'm using a more sheer foundation. This is the Clinique Even Better Glow. I'm in the shade CN02 Breeze, and I honestly think Clinique foundations are really underrated. They have great shade range. They know their undertones. Like if you want a neutral or cool undertone, you can actually get it. Unlike a lot of brands where they say, oh, this is a neutral undertone, and then it's just like super orange, and you're like, what the hell is going on? Do you not know what the word neutral means? So I'm starting this on the parts of the face that have less of that highlighter on, and I'm using a Real Techniques brush. I love the Real Techniques brushes. I think they're just such good quality for how much they cost. So you can see this is a relatively sheer formula. Now in the Even Better range there are actually 4 foundations. So this is the Even Better Glow, which is a more luminous finish foundation with a light to medium coverage. They also have the Even Better foundation, which is also a lighter coverage, light to medium coverage, but is a natural, less luminous finish. Then they make 2 more full coverage foundations, the Even Better Clinical, which I also have, which is advertised as being more for oilier skin, but I have like slightly drier skin, and I find that if you prep your skin appropriately, you can still use that foundation even if you're not oily. And that's like a very full coverage foundation that sort of just dries down by itself. And then they also have the Even Better Refresh, which is the only one of the foundations I haven't tried, and that is a more full coverage but for dry skin. It's supposed to be very hydrating. I'm now going to go over with my sponge just to blend out all of the brush strokes, because it is quite a liquidy, like dewy foundation, and I do find that although a brush is the best to do the initial application because the sponge absorbs too much product, it is difficult with a brush to not get brush strokes. Just because of the texture of the foundation. So you do need your sponge to go in afterwards. So you can see I'm already looking super glowy. Now we're going to go in with some concealer, and I'm going to use the NYX Bear With Me concealer. This is in the shade Light, which is the second shade. I'm going to apply this with my sponge just where I need a little coverage. So on the under eyes, I'm going to put a little bit down the nose, tiny bit here, a little bit on the chin, and the last little bit up here on the forehead. I didn't buy this concealer for ages because I was like, I have so much concealer, I don't need another concealer. I saw everyone on the internet using it and raving about it, and I resisted 4 months. And then eventually, of course, I gave in and I bought it, and I was like, oh my god, this concealer genuinely is like an amazing concealer. And now I use it all the time, and I love that it comes in a pump. Like, it's super unusual for a concealer to come in a pump like this, but I absolutely love it. more concealers should come like this. I also sometimes use this over my entire face and it looks super nice as a foundation. Okay, 3 products down, 2 to go. We're moving into blush, and I got this recently, but I already really love it. This is the Moira Loveheat Cream Blush in the shade I Trust You. And this is dewy, because I have a lot of cream blushes, but a lot of them dry down to like a kind of more matte finish or semi-matte finish. And this is definitely more dewy, and it's such a pretty shade. And I've probably got too much here already, but let's just dab a little on. It's beautiful. I'm so glad I bought it. And it's not super expensive either. It's a pretty affordable cream blush. And I really like putting cream blush everywhere that I would normally put bronzer, because pale people, when we tan, we kind of burn, let's be honest. We go a bit pink, and yeah, I definitely have too much blush. I'm just going to take my foundation brush and just dab over this. And I like to keep my blush quite dispersed because I already have quite an angular face. Like, I do not need to be sculpting with my blush. That doesn't look particularly good on me if I use that really high sculpting kind of blush placement. So I really diffuse this over a pretty large area. Just going over once again with my sponge to make sure everything is blended super nicely. I just love this blush. It's just dewy. It's just dewy, glowy, beautiful. And finally, the Fenty Cream Bronzer. Now, if you want a slightly more dewy bronzer, this is really nice. It doesn't completely dry down into like a matte formula. And this is the shade 02 Butta Biscuit. So I'm going to take a brush here. This is a Beauty Pie, the Bronze and Contour brush. It's quite a nice brush. So I'm going to just take a bunch of product here, and I'm going to tap it off into my palm before I go in. And I'm not going to put too much bronzer on because I am a pale person and I look a bit stupid with a lot of bronzer, to be honest. I've got this headband on because I've got all these really short, tiny little annoying hairs. And even with the headband on, they're still trying to get in my makeup. Adding a little more. Bronzer I find to be one of the most challenging products when I'm filming because it shows up a lot more in person than it does on the camera. So when I look at it in person, I've got plenty of bronzer, and then I look in the lens and I'm like, okay, maybe I should add a bit more bronzer. It's pretty challenging to tell sometimes. So I'm also filming in like completely natural light today because I feel like it is bright enough in here. Like if I turn the light on for a second, like you get so much reflection of the products. Let me turn it down. So yeah, that the light is bouncing right off my face. Like the foundation is like very light reflecting. It's kind of it even says on it actually, Even Better Glow Light Reflecting Makeup. So it is a little bit I don't look like this in real life, which is why I've been filming with the light off. Also, you can hopefully see texture on my face. Hopefully it's been bright enough. Like I said, I made a decision to film without the light on. Now, obviously this needs a little bit of powder, but I would put a powder a little bit through the T-zone. You can obviously use any powder that you like. I'm not going to recommend a powder because this is for glowy and powder is not glowy. Just use whatever powder works for you. I like the Huda Beauty Cherry Blossom. I also like the Charlotte Tilbury, the tinted one, the pressed one, whatever it's called. That's really nice for a gentle set, which still leaves some luminosity. Obviously, I look super dewy right now. You don't have to use all 5 of these products together. Bronzer. You don't have to use all 5 of these products together, obviously. You can pick and choose what you want, where you want to have glow. If you don't want all over glow, change out the foundation. That's what I would say. This is, like I say, a dewy foundation, but the Even Better foundation comes in 3 other formulas, which you can switch out for this one. I would recommend if you want still the kind of natural coverage, but you want to be less luminous than this, go for the Even Better rather than the Even Better Glow. And if you're really, really oily, go for the Even Better Clinical, and then just concentrate, you know, your highlight and your blush and stuff in the areas where you want to be glowy. But yeah, that was it for this video. Kind of a short one, but I hope it was helpful to you, and I'll see you next time.